Hello and welcome to Glady'S Cake Kitchen. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make this beautiful purple geode cake completed as a ganache finished semi-naked cake. But more importantly, I'll be showing you a detailed guide on how to fix a cake with uneven layers, turning it from a mess to a pretty work of art. This geode cake you see here started as a messy, slanted and even layered cake before being transformed into this stunning geode cake with flowers atop, some macaroons and an acrylic topper as added decorations. For all the details and techniques on how I transformed this cake, plus how I fixed some other developing cake decorating problems along the way, please just keep watching. Firstly, this cake was featured in a tutorial where I was teaching how to fill a cake, but in the process the cake began to slide and an attempt to transfer the cake nearly left it falling apart. So what you see here is the messy leftover from a hero's work. I'll begin by trimming the sides of the cake to get it clean and ready for crumb coating. Trimming also allows me to assess the cake to determine what is left of it so I can decide on how to fix the slant and uneven side. Trimming down its crumb coating next to seal in all the crumbs and to get a clean surface to start to work on. There are a few ways to fix the slant in the cake to get a straight standing cake. One of this is to take the entire cake apart and to relayer, but unfortunately this was going to be too messy for me, plus this cake had some solid Kinder Bueno crunches in the filling which was going to be impossible for me to remake. So I chose to fix the uneven side by trimming into the slant and layering it with ganache to build it back up. To crumb coat the cake, I begin spreading ganache from the top of the cake and around the entire cake, and with a cake scraper I go in to take off any excess ganache. Then I fill into the top side of the slant with extra ganache and scrape any excess off. I clean the top of the cake with a sharp knife and leave to set. I return the cake to spread some more ganache from the top of the cake to fill the lower end of the slant and scrape off any excess. By so doing, I am gradually building layers of ganache to cover into the slant. While scraping the excess ganache, the cake shifts and I realize I have to reset my cake on the board properly. All done now, and I'm back to covering the cake with some more ganache. To straighten the cake, I have already begun to fill into the slant by using extra layers of ganache. This time, notice how I apply more ganache to the cake than I need. This gives me a chance to fill into the slant, which will help straighten the cake when I take the excess off. Also, observe I'm not exactly scraping much of the ganache off. What I do is to keep the scraping tool at a 45-degree angle by dragging the ganache around the cake slowly. This allows any excess ganache to spread around, filling into the sides as I move the scraper along. All done, I clean the top, leave the cake to set and return with a right-angled metal scraper, which is similar to a metal version of the Pro Froster tool. With this, I go around the cake, which scrapes the side of the cake, keeping it clean whilst also helping me to check for unevenness. The cake seems to have transformed and straightened up, which is such a change from how this cake started. I return the cake to apply layers of purple colored ganache, and to see how I made this purple colored effect, check a similar cake in the description box below. And whilst at it, a quick shout out to some of my new subscribers who have left comments and have been super supportive. A shout out to Sunshine B and Dawn Coralini. I hope I got the names right. Thanks for your support, it's much appreciated. And if you'd like a shout out, like this video and leave a comment on any of my previous videos and this one, and I'll be sure to read out a shout out on my next video. Back to cakes, I scrape off any excess and clean the top of the cake with a scraper to leave a clean straight edge. The cake then goes in the fridge for 15 minutes before I return for the next phase. Cakes back from the fridge, and in between messy and uneven cake layers and shifting cakes, I thought my troubles were behind me, but unfortunately I have a crack in the cake. So the original placement of the geode effect will now be abandoned and I have to work with the problem. But this is okay. In cake making, you will find that staying creative and persevering through your cake decorating challenges is the mark of an artist. Oh well, that sounds like a cliche. Cliche lessons over. I am cutting through the cracks to create the cave for the candy crystals to be attached for the geode effect. After cutting into the cake, I apply some ganache to cover the parts of the exposed cake before attaching the candy crystals. The candy crystals are made from clear coconut lollipop, which I picked up from my local store. These were broken and crushed into pieces for the crystal candy effect on the geode. The application of the candies was slow and tedious, but after doing all that, I began to paint into the cake, starting with a deep purple color and finishing the outsides with some gold luster dust mixed into some alcohol. Some flowers and macaroon atop the cakes as decorations. I added an acrylic topper as an extra addition to finish off this beautiful purple colored geode cake. Now this is such a great transformation from the wonky and even layered cake we started with. To see more fixes like this, check this video right here, and to see similar videos of pretty cakes like this one, check the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.